Hello and welcome to another episode of the LARP Noobs. My name is Dave and I'm joined by my good friend Ian.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about E3 2022.
Holy shit. What an event.
It's a big one.
It's a real big one.
There's so much to talk about. I'm genuinely worried going in how much we're going to talk and how long it's going to take to talk it through, because there's a load of shit that happened this weekend on a variety of different levels that...
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is we've both got also different complexities that are involved around talking about that. For example, like a lot of the way our games have diverged and the different types and styles of game we're exploring.
But I barely get to see you.
I hardly see you, but the point is that like you can't actually talk about a lot of your game at this point.
I should definitely caveat this before going in. I'm the ambassador to Yarm, which is a foreign nation. Loads of my game this weekend is like active plot with players that I haven't spoken to, but I assume it's not really good to talk about active plot in
no, because
anyway.
Ultimately everything, like the game you're part of is a thing where it can ripple out and essentially influence other people's games, right? And it will have direct impact on their games.
And not even just game, it can affect people, right? So there's a real responsibility
there's a real responsibility.
So I'm going to do my best to try and navigate through it. If I blunder, I'll put in a brief audio interlude to say that I've said something that I really shouldn't have said. I had to, and it blurted out.
Yeah, wrestle him to the ground.
I'm going to try and talk about things in a kind of abstract way and in an emotional way, and then hopefully and bear in mind this isn't. But even by doing that, it can be like
colouring a situation,
colouring or casting judgment on other players or other things, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to try my best basically to get through it.
No, I think though I think it's a valuable thing still to hear the things you have to say. Because I think, to be honest with you, the factual matters of what occurs, while interesting, it's the emotional effect it has on you as you're doing those things. What does it feel like to go into a room to make an argument on a point and have that point be rejected? Like, resoundingly. How does that feel? I haven't
spoken to you, Ian, and yet, spoilers, that's kind of what we're looking at here.
Well, yeah, so it's like, but like, that's something emotionally that's very interesting to listen to.
Yes.
And understandably, the ICOC bleed becomes an issue when you're talking on that kind of level as well.
But it's also like, I don't want to make other players change their behaviour in any capacity because of my opinion on events that happened, right? Like, this is like one of the big problems that with making a podcast about this sort of subject matter is, man, how do you dance that line between wanting to express, because we really enjoy this process of just hanging out and chatting about it, and trying to give as an honest take as we can. God, we're well into the bushes already.
Yeah, well, I think this is important though, because I think we really are at that stage in the game though, where I feel like these kind of conversations are just more and more prevalent. Like, for example, my game is very different. My game is, I can talk pretty much safely about all of my game, apart from, there are a couple of things. But you've got to have a couple of things you can't talk about, by the way. Everybody, make sure you do have a couple of those. But
now my couple of things is turning into the majority of my things. And the things I can talk about is significantly smaller than the things I can't. And that's like... Yeah.
I have a couple of things, and then the rest of my game I can talk about a lot. But the problem is...
How many musical interludes are we going to have during this section of episodes, do you reckon?
I don't know. I trust you, man. I think you've got it. I think I think you've really got it. Like,
let's begin.
Let's kick in. So, we're going to talk pre-LARP here. So, the major thing that happened to me was becoming the captain of the Navarchers.
So you became the captain of the Navarchers. I became
the captain of the Navarchers, and it's such man, it really means a lot. Right?
What are the Navarchers?
So, the Navarchers are basically a group of archers in Navarre, as the pun would suggest, and we just basically formed like a military block, right? Which is mainly archers, though we do actually have a bunch of other people in the group who are like bowguard and like healers, and there's loads of people and like just amazing singers, like incredible like talent is in the group, and it's such a cool group of people. The pride I have in the assemblage of human beings is outstanding.
You're a little in love with the Navarchers, aren't you?
And getting command of it is just an absolute joy, and
it's a big responsibility.
It's like all of a sudden because the thing is, my game is, which we'll discover definitely through this episode, my game is actually very character driven, right? It's very performance led, or it's turned that way.
It's turned that way. So it's like my game is actually made by people's reactions to my performance, essentially. Right, that's the game that I'm kind of filtering out, and that's the game that I kind of receive on a lot of levels of my game. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the level of my game is this suddenly surprisingly deep aspect of being a captain of a military bloc, which is effective, and people want you to help them. Right, like that is like really cool, and a part of my game which is like the political ramifications of that, the people you have conversations with, the access that you get, and the people who will seek you out to have a conversation with you, is really cool, and something that, like, as I say, is quite different from the performative aspect of my character. And then when those two things interlock, and it's actually like you come and see Talis, and Talis is quite extra, right? Well, and you're having a military conversation with him. It's kind of like... At times this weekend, I was asked if you were under some sort of an effect of a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think it's really nice that you took a bit of responsibility and you're kind of stepping up and do some public speaking, have to do some organising, all these kind of like hard skills that like you've kind of walked into. You've been doing it for a while, and now you're like, now you're ready. You're ready.
And the thing is, like, Antonia, who set it up, did like it's such a good job at like collecting together, as I say, like these just awesome human beings and like the spirit of the group. Like, I honestly believe that like the effectiveness of it all and why it works so well is based on like the quality of the people, right? In terms of like their actual characters as people.
Culture is like one of the hardest things, and hey, if you work in like a job where like everyone gets on with each other and it's a really nice environment, or if you work in an environment where like
supportive,
everyone's like mean to each other and kind of like petty about stuff, like culture's important to set up, right? Like, and once you get it right, it's just you work better, people are happier, and people want to get it done more, you know. So
put it this way, it was an environment in which I, as someone who is not the type of person who pushes for a lot of things in that way, like career objectives and so on, for example, like it was an environment in which it made me want to raise up and become somebody in it, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of it's such a hugely supportive culture of people, like, you know, Ian wants to do this thing, and like we like the fact that he wants to do this thing, and like to be in that kind of environment and to work with those kind of people, it's honestly absolutely. I'm going to get emotional a whole bunch this episode, by the way. I apologise in advance, but it's like, yeah, absolutely legendary people. I can't thank each and every one of you enough.
Like, we have letters written on a piece of paper. What an expansive thing letters is. I have been sending and receiving a whole heap load of icy letters. So many letters, I haven't been able to respond to everyone before time in.
Yep.
Some of them are like, I sent a lot off. There's just, icy letters, big game. Big game.
It's huge. Like, it's huge. And the range of icy letters, right? Like, you got to think, like, so I'm getting messages, messages about like people from other nations who are interested in, like, if I can help them, like with archers potentially if there's a battle, right? I can't obviously talk too much about that, but obviously that's cool, right? That's a letter that is like, holy shit, like that's a thing.
Yeah, you become an institution, right? Like something that people are gonna come and seek out, right?
Yes.
And I think this is true for like a bunch of people I know's game, right? Like the Reapers in the League have become their whole... I'm hearing the Reapers this, the Reapers that from people that I don't even know. Like, we're not connected because I know that they know them. It's just like, I'm just hearing about them on the field. And that's like, you know you're doing it right when you start to get a reputation like that, right?
And you also get groups like, say, Embercast, for example, to use, I think, a good Navari version, of like a group that very quickly came together.
You racist, Ian. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, you're xenophobic. Sorry, yeah.
Well, what? No, just but like the Amphicast have this whole thing of like they came together like a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
And what they've like you'll start hearing Embercast. Like I hear Embercast actually in other nations
all the time.
People are like, there's a like a night coven over in Embercast, stuff like that. It's like, it's the power of creating that as a player group is really awesome when you realise that actually just through that, just for you being known, game will be brought to you.
I think it's interesting to see how, like, for us anyway, like, I think a lot of the hard skills that are required to do a lot of these roles we've had to learn as we go. Whereas
hugely.
I think, like, there's some members of the Embercast that I know that, like, they've got a lot of external skills, and they can turn those skills into LARP skills really easily, and make shit get done, right? So there's some exceptional people in that crew, right? What is the box from Cadogan?
Okay, so our friend Cadogan, who is essentially like our
mad mage.
I was literally going to say mad mage. Yeah, is our kind of mad mage in our group. He wanted to pursue this objective of trying to get this ritual, which was like this powerful autumn ritual that required loads of, I think it was green iron to get.
Like a shitload
of green iron. And bear in mind, like, for all we've kind of done as a striding, it's happened quite quickly, and it's only really accelerated very, very recently, right? All of our successes have been like this season, right? And it's like pretty much, right? Kind of. In terms of like, we've kind of we've got people who have gained positions, and they've got people who achieve.
I'd say it's objectives. This year. I'd say this year.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. And that's kind of put us in a situation where we can just about afford an endeavour like this, right? We can just about afford to do something like this, but it's actually a really big decision for a group like ours if we push the go button on trying to get this ritual, basically. Anyway, long story short,
what's with the box?
The box was like the prop for it. Okay.
Oh, so you got a box?
I basically made him a fucking box. But
God,
I thought it was really important to talk about because this ritual is actually really important to the actual event. And the pursuit of getting this ritual and getting all the resources together, not all of which we had a time in, for example. The way that filters in the kind of greater story of the Entwined Paths is kind of a cool undertone
what's
to know
the
about.
Box?
So the box is basically, should he get the ritual, he has to be able to put things in the box, and he gives them to this eternal.
But is there anything special about the box?
Yeah, because then the box comes back, and inside the box.
No.
Physically as an object.
Yeah, like why is it in PreLARP? Is my question.
I have to make it because it has to be an 8x8x8 box.
Interesting. Now we're getting to it.
Okay.
What did you do to make the box?
Yeah, I basically just got two boxes and stuck them together.
Is that all you? Yes.
I found two 4x4 by I think there was 6. Yeah, 4x4 by 6 boxes, and the lids are 2, obviously.
Yeah.
So you take, they're 1.5. So you take those off, and then you've got essentially all you need to make an 8x8x8 box.
Nice.
So anyway, like that's really like nerdy and craftery, but like, I made him a fucking box.
Okay, cool. All right,
Jesus. Sorry about that. All right, next thing on the list is bubbles. And bubbles, though, unlike the box, in some ways, is like a ridiculously big part of this whole event. So you might have heard in the previous episode, a wonderful listener and character came around and had bubbles. And I was like, this is such a good idea for Talis that I shamelessly stole the idea to just go full in on bubbles.
Yeah, bubbles. Like actual like blowing bubbles using soap and water and little hoops, and you are... It really jumped up a notch, dude. Like, from the initial idea to where you were at E3 was... Like, there's a lot of bubbles.
Yeah, so I bought a lot of bubbles. I also bought these really big bubble makers, which we can make like massive bubbles, like using like rope, like
off
and
the
sticks.
Infomercials type.
Yeah,
thing, right?
Those kind of things, right? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll get one of those. I was thinking, would it be kind of cool if there was ever somebody else who wanted to do it too? So I got 2 of those, and then I was like, I just kind of kept randomly seeing bubbles in shops, and I was like, well, look, there's multiple bubble makers there for £1. I mean, it's only £1. I mean, well, so I bought myself some bubbles, and then I was like sitting there coming back from a shopping haul, and I realised that pretty much all I had bought is fucking bubbles. So then I posted on the Facebook site, this is what real character bleed looks like. It's shameless.
I don't get it, but I think it's good that you're having fun.
Having a lot of fun. Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, what else did you make?
I made a fan case, because I got a fan last season, and Gellup quite rightly mocked the fact that it wasn't practical. And because I had nowhere to put it, basically. So I was like, right.
Oh yeah, that's the reason why. Yeah, go on.
Well, no, that's the reason that Talis assumed it was why. He assumed that you were saying that it wasn't practical because I couldn't have it up on my person easily. So he was like, then I will make a case so I can carry it on me.
So you can always have your fan ready.
Yes, so my fan was always ready in a little fabric holster at my side. So I can just deploy the fan.
Yep, that's the thing.
We did that. And as I was doing that, essentially, as I was kind of formulating the idea to do that, this thing popped up, which was that there was going to be a Navari fashion show. And the idea was just so good, and it was just so perfect for the type of game that I really wanted to have a go at, right? Because I was actually like, because people kind of linked me to it as well, and I was like, I found out about it through other people telling me about it, right?
I like the fact that it wasn't like you were invited and you went along and you took part in it. No, your audacious ass was a co-host for the fashion show. Like, you didn't need to enter in any way. You were already the example of...
No, I mean, it's like... because there are, as we'll get into, there are so many just awesomely fancy, in all the right ways, kind of Navarre, actually. Like, there is a real cool scene.
I also think, like, Navarre is one of those nations I think gets pigeonholed quite badly, and it's the way I dress really is pretty, without my neck game, which is basically just a whole heap of crap at this stage, but like my general kit is basically just greens and browns, and it's like
Navarre, and a ridiculously cool sword.
Yeah, Navarre has this reputation for being quite bland looking, and like let me put it this way. Ellie said to me, like, I was saying to Ellie, like, she was like, I'm ironing my kit, and I'm like, iron your kit, lol, type thing. And it's like, oh yeah, that's like a Navari, like, part of your, like, lore or whatever, and it's like, lol, because Navari don't iron their clothes, which I don't. So, but it's nice to see taking a bit of pride in the idea of the nation and things like this. I think we'll discuss what went on, Ian.
Yeah.
Later on, but
yes, no. So it just, the opportunity to work with Hazel on this was incredible. She was magnificent. Like, bear in mind, as we'll get to, like, she did everything, right? All of it was her being just amazing. Like, all the. Yeah, it was such a pleasure to work with her.
Cool. Some rules changes from PD. No more tagging on the Facebook groups of people. This is a complicated one. Like, the reason for it is because it puts pressure on people to respond.
Yeah.
Also, it's giving people's identity away that might not want their identity given if it's related to their character. It's interesting.
It's interesting. I mean, basically, I'll put it this way. It's not something I personally had ever worried about, but that doesn't mean that it's, like, basically, because I'm so ignorant of it as an issue in my own mind, I don't feel qualified to talk about it.
But
in any way.
I thought it would be a good opportunity just to kind of go through some thoughts that I've had about
for sure.
Internet security stuff. I highly recommend any of you, if this is an issue for you, to go to your settings on Facebook and lock everything down. Not everyone knows this, but you can. There's very simple options in Facebook just to go to your settings, and then you can basically stop a whole bunch of people contacting you and doing a bunch of other stuff. Also, I think I'm really in favour of an alt account for LARP, because the thing is, you end up with an awful lot of LARP friends, which you might not want in as a separate thing, because you end up adding a lot of people. So I think potentially making an alt account for LARP, which I know a lot of people do, is potentially another good security measure that you might be able to take on. So just a couple of ideas there. Yeah, it's like one of those, it's similar to actually in working life, right? I had never really worried so much about data security of people coming into places of my work. And we don't have now it's a thing. Yeah, and also it's like we don't have to worry an awful lot. Like, there are lots of people in vulnerable positions that we don't necessarily appreciate at all from our positions, right? Like,
well, that's my exact point. The fact is that I had been so ignorant of those issues that when it was suddenly said to me that obviously data protection, all these kind of things that we all have to do in our lives now, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, because it's actually like, oh yeah, of course we just can't keep people's names and addresses in like a folder somewhere for 10 years. Like, that's crazy, right? And it's like,
sure, I think Facebook's like different from a lot of that. Like, I think, hey, the internet's a scary place, but I think like I said, that I think people should really take on board how, like, if you haven't thought about this before and you listen to this and like, oh snap, then good. Like, there's a few actions that you can take by yourselves just to kind of take some more personal security. So I'd highly recommend you do that. Right, Winds of War. So there's this. Actually, I won't do that first. I'll do Empire Audio. Okay, these wonderful people, they get together and they read out the Winds of War and Winds of Fortune. They put it on YouTube and SoundCloud. It helps people like me and dyslexic people who are also lazy just go through it and listen to it. It's really, really handy.
Really, really good.
And I ended up recording one, so that was really fucking cool.
Yes.
I am terrified of reading from a page out loud. It's something I've always hated ever since I was little, basically. So to kind of sit down, get it done, go through all the really hard writing, the way it's written is quite hard to read out, and then the languages, like there's a whole bunch of like words in there that I don't know how to pronounce. Yeah. But man, it was an absolute slog. Really proud of myself for doing it, basically. So I don't think it turned out too bad.
You did a really good job. I was really chuffed with it. Like really, like
really cool.
So good, dude.
So I think it's called. Is it Into the Valley?
Yes, I think so.
That one I read.
So I have to say, I like crash coursed a whole bunch of them right before the event. Yeah. In that sort of stage of literally while I was packing, I should have definitely done it earlier than that.
Problem is cramming. I did the same for one of them where I listened to like pretty much every single Winds of War and Winds of Fortune they released, but like back to back because I was cramming.
That's what I did.
I could feel bits of stuff popping out the other side of my head because of how much I was shoving in. You know?
By the time I got to the event, I was listening to it on the drive up, right?
Nice.
And it was like literally like crazy man driving with all of his LARP kit in the back, listening to as much plot as he can, like to prep up, and then realizing that like behind him in the car is all of the actual information sailing around behind him.
Yeah, you don't need to know everything. Like, in fact, like my thing I do nowadays is I try and like limit myself to stuff that like directly I'm interested in, right? Like, also it's cool hearing about stuff on the field.
It is going to someone, like actually being sent, like you don't know a thing and you get sent to someone to have them tell you about a thing. Like, it's a really awesome game.
Like all the spicy stuff with the Fenny. I didn't know much about that before going, right? Like that was spicy. We had a load of new people joining the Entwined Path this time. I'll just sum this up because we're not going to go through everyone, but hey, it was awesome to have all of you along, basically. That it's cool having friends of ours bring along friends of theirs and everyone get on like a house on fire. So really, really cool.
I love the community of it, the fact that we have all of these different relationships that have spawned through it, the different interpersonal relationships between everybody is just really
interestingly
awesome.
How people that all know each other come along and like play in different nations as well. I find this really interesting and bold. Like that's cool, right? Like
right, going with your friends and then deciding that you want to, for you reasons, go and move to another nation and move away from those friends is like and to have friends who are kind of cool with that as well. It's a real pleasure of finding such an awesome group of people to play with.
I think it just goes to show how old hat we are. We're only been playing the game for 4 years and we're already dinosaurs in the game, right?
The new players just bring so much
much new player hype, right?
They're so good, right? Like I don't think I was anywhere near as good a new player as all the new players that I see.
We weren't.
I was dreadful.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say we were dreadful. No. Everyone plays their own game, okay?
Sure.
If you're having fun, whatever.
I'm just saying we weren't like these kids.
No, but I
these kids are crazily good.
No, but sometimes it's like, I don't know. I miss the simple life. Like I miss the, like go fight, get drunk on icy coin.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'm really talking about actually the quality of the characters that the new players are bringing. I really like it. Like there's some characters who I've met who it's like their first time at Anvil and they're rocking out these just wonderful personalities to meet, right? In all kinds of different ways as well. That doesn't have to be massively bombastic. That's like also just in radiating, I'm a good person, I'm an awesome person. Like a lot of people are able to bring like just really cool performance.
I like how proactive people are. I'm a big fan of doers rather than sayers, and like there are loads of people that just do, right? They're really chasing after something. They find something in the game that they want to go after and they go and get it done, and it's just like I think it's so cool, and the effect on the wider world is better because of it.
I think also the number of the new players there's been means there's just been such an influx of new ideas, new possibilities that have entered the game, that it's actually been a really nice force to actually shake up the actual core game, right? Because all these established kind of groups
shake up. I mean, Jesus, like they're shaking us up, and we've only been going for a few years. Yeah. Like it's. There are.
It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, there are some very, very how to describe it, like locked in aspects to Empire that still need to be broken down, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool. I mean, literally, if you're gonna kind of sit on your ivory tower at this point, like, good luck. They're coming. Like that's all I can say about that, really. Thursday was just like great getting down there. Really nice to see everyone.
I love
good
Thursdays.
Time to party. Yeah.
I mean, the main thing for me though was, and I don't know if you had this on Thursday, it was just to go and see people and to almost learn where they were so I could come and find them later. I see and have the conversation that I really need to have with them. Right? Like, it was kind of a lot of like...
There's a lot of Navaris, right?
Yeah, and also just thinking about like the logistics of doing certain things. So, for example, I went to see Hazel and just like hash out how we were going to do the fashion show. Because it's one thing to talk about it online, but to actually, you need to sort of sit with somebody and just like run it through, right? Like, you're going to put a performance on together, and how's that going to look, and what's that going to look like? And we came up with like just a real simple, it's all about sort of them kind of ethos kind of style thing, and like, and we'll just see how it goes, basically, which was a very kind of freeing and very scary place to be in at the same time, in a cool way though. It was kind of like cool nerves to sort of think, right, yeah, like tomorrow I can do anything, right? Actually it was on Saturday, it was due to actually do it. So that was a really cool thing to do. And the other thing I had to do was just go and talk to Silver, who is my sort of second, essentially, as I'm sort of like thinking about how we're going to do things. And just basically just confirm with him and the other Navarchers that I see that we are going to be at certain places at certain times, and that this is the order that we're going to go through those things. Just logistically to keep us all together so we can enjoy stuff. And it's like... But you're trying not to have any IC conversations at the same time, right? Because it's like, no, we've got to talk about this IC, we've got to do things. So you're just trying to lay out the raw logistics of what it is to meet up and get a body of people together. And just going around the camp and doing that was really good fun. And then I'm doing all this practical stuff and meeting really cool people as well along the way, of course. And then I come back to camp, and Sam, who played Sparrow, is there to see us all. And
that silly sausage.
Yeah, and during the 2 events, I'd kind of got in touch with him and been like, would it be okay if Tellus had a piece of your kit? Just anything. I don't care what it is.
Well, how rude.
Yeah, I felt kind of, it was really weird.
Trying to get his leather armour, right?
No, I just wanted like... Well, yeah.
No, I'm joking. Like, yeah, the idea is to take like a small trinket of Sam. We recorded an episode with him. If you don't know what we're talking about, he died last event.
Yes.
It's a big deal for us. To take like a trinket or a marker of the character and to be able to put it as part of your kit, right?
Yeah,
idea,
I wanted to... And he basically just gave me... He said he was going to give me this bit of his tartan, essentially, which was really cool. And it was awesome to have. And then he also, at the same time, though, gave me his necklace, which is... like that he always wore, and he gave me this Navach's symbol. Now I had these printed on a piece of leather, which is this kind of Navach's logo that I made and that is for the group. I had a whole bunch of them printed off, but there was only so many I could afford to do because it was expensive, right? And I sort of cut them all into these kind of small, kind of like 8 by 10 centimeter.
They're not very small. Like they're
like chunky, but you know what I mean. They're not huge.
They're a
right?
patch of armor.
Yeah, they're a patch of armor. Yeah. Like, and anyway, he gave me back his one, and he had written on the back of it, basically a message for Tellus, and like the implication being that, of course, that after his character died, Tellus had checked Sparrow's body and found on his armour, on his person, this. And Sparrow had obviously already written it, knowing that Tellus would get it. And like the character implications were just so strong, right?
It's cool.
It was really cool.
Such a lovely
I was
note
so
for a character
moved.
as well.
I was so moved, like, because it's like in many ways, right? Like, me, like Tellus and Sparrow didn't actually see that much during the course of the time we played together, right? Mm-hmm. And Sparrow was a very busy man, right? So it's like just to have like a person and a character of the quality of Sam and Sparrow come and drop that game on me was awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You okay, buddy?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Recording at Empire you've got written here.
Yeah, I did a...
oh, shit.
I recorded an episode while I was at Empire.
Yes, you did, you madman.
I think I need to listen to it because I haven't had a chance to listen to it because we're on Tuesday now and got back on the Sunday, so I haven't had a chance to listen to the recording yet. But it's going to be... I think it went well. It was like an interview between a guy called Oliver and Claire Evans, who's part of the PD new player team. She like looks after loads of people. We recorded an episode. It was fun recording it, but it was like really funny having like all the different background sounds. Right. So I have no idea. Quality, right? I have no idea. And both of these people are like really popular people that are in charge of organising stuff, so people want to go and find them. So hey, enjoy the episode. It's going to be on the Academy, so if you have any little people in your lives, it's cool. That's about it before we go time in, really, isn't it? On the Friday.
I think so. So should we kick it into Friday next episode, or do you want to go into Friday right now?
Let's break it up. We waffled a lot in that. Like, hey, if you made it to the end of that episode, then well done. But we're actually going to talk about LARP next time.
Yeah, we're actually going to talk about the real thing.
I always feel like these pre-LARP episodes are like... do you know what I mean?
I like them for us.
Oh yeah,
hopefully you guys enjoy them.
You love them, Ian. Yeah. These wouldn't exist if it was just me doing these.
Yeah, you'd cut all this out, right?
There would be no pre-LARP because I don't. I don't do anything. Like, I can surmise what I do in pre-LARP in probably about 60 seconds.
But you see, listeners, this is why. For those of you who like the pre-LARP, and I know there are people who like the pre-LARP.
You're talking to the pre-LARP fans,
the pre-LARP fans. I know they're out there, all right? There's some people who look, you know,
the weird, kinky,
you know, there's people who skip the pre-LARPs, okay? And I get that. I get people who skip the pre-LARPs. Full respect to it. But those of us that appreciate the pre-LARP talk,
I enjoy.
You're welcome.
I enjoy our conversations, but I think I would skip the pre-LARP.
You would definitely skip the pre-LARP.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah.
Anyway. The crazy thing is, I might skip the pre.
Yeah, who knows? But hey, thanks for listening, everyone. We'll come back for Time In on Friday.
See ya.